Hello everyone, back for day 6 of the problems of the day. Do make sure that you're remembering to pause the video throughout every time you get a new clue to see if you can get to the answer before I tell you, okay? So let's move on to day 6 and get up the orange questions for you. Okay, so first of all, we've got a trip to the zoo here on day 6. And it says, here is how much it costs to go to the zoo. Children are £5 and adults are £10. So Mr. Jones and his 3 children go to the zoo. How much does it cost them altogether? Altogether is one of those good words in maths. We know that that means our total cost. So let's think about this. Mr. Jones and his 3 children, so Mr. Jones must be our adult, and we know that the adult tickets are £10. So I'm going to start, I have my one £10 ticket. And then his 3 children. So I'm going to add to this 3 of those £5 tickets. So now we can see we have £10 as a part and 3 parts of £5. We want the total cost of this bar of tickets. So I could just add up each section of the bar. This is quite handy because it's in 5s and I've been practicing my 5 times table. So 5, 10, 15. I know the children's section is £15 and I know that Mr. Jones's ticket was £10. So now I have £10 add £15. So I'm just adding another 1 to the tens column. And the total ticket price was £25. As I've mentioned in a video before, very important that we put our pound symbol on. Otherwise, they could have paid 25 anything to get into the zoo. So £25. Another way we could have said that, instead of doing 5 add 5 add 5, is our 3 lots of, or 3 times 5. Well, that was a nice quick question to get us started today. So let's move across and have a look at question 2. So we've got some mystery numbers here, but there's a clue in the shapes. So we have blue triangle plus blue triangle equals 12. Then we have red heart plus blue triangle equals 19. Okay, and we've been asked, what is the value, so the number or the numerical value of that red heart? Okay, copied it out and let's see, where should we start? Well, I'm going to start with this top number sentence, this top calculation. Blue triangle plus a blue triangle equals 12. Well, these blue triangles are the same. So 2 of the same number added together equals 12. So another way of looking at this is that we've split 12 into 2 equal groups because these are the same. So if we share 12 into 2 equal groups, or another way of saying that is share 12 in half or divide 12 by 2, what will each triangle be worth? We could do our 2 times table here and we could count up in 2s until we get to 12. If I do that, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, I have used 6 groups of 2. So I now know that the blue triangle is worth 6. 6 plus 6 equals 12. So if the blue triangles in the top are 12, the blue triangle in the next number, if the blue triangles in the top number sentence are 6, the blue triangle in the second number sentence must also be 6. So I'm going to pop a 6 in there. Now this just looks like a normal missing number question, but with a pretty red heart in it. So we have red heart plus 6 equals 19. Now we've done lots of these missing number questions over the last 5 videos, and we know that a missing part plus a part equals a whole. We have to do the inverse to get to our other part. We have to do our whole minus a part to get the other part. So 19 minus 6 equals the red heart. So you could do that in your head if you're confident, or we can write it down in column subtraction on the board here. 9 minus 6 is 3, and 1, take away nothing, is 1. So our answer is 13. The red heart's value is 13. Okay, we've got some more missing number questions for question 3 here. This time looking at multiplication and division. So we have blank times 10 equals 40. So we've got to think, how many lots of 10 until I get to 40? Blank times 10 equals 40. Well, for this one, I think I need to count up in tens and see how many lots I count until I reach 40. If it's easier for you, remember you can write your times tables down as you go so you don't lose count. So 1 times 10 is 10, 2 times 10 is 20, keep going, 30, 40. Oh, I've hit the number I was looking for, 40. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 times 10 equals 40. And we can see that, remember when we times by 10, we're moving our number up the place value. So we would pop a 0 on the end and it's 40. Okay, what about the other one though? Something divided by 10 equals 7. So we are missing our whole in this. We have our 2 parts. So 7 groups of 10 make our whole, or 10 groups of 7 make our whole. What's another way of saying that, or what's the inverse to a division? It is a multiplication. So this time we need to turn blank divided by 10 equals 7 into the inverse of 7 times 10 equals blank. And we've just looked at timesing by 10. So we're moving it up the place value. At the moment we have 7, a decimal point would be right next to it. We're going to move that decimal point, and therefore put a 0 in the missing place value column. So the 7 has moved from the units to the tens. So 7 times 10, or 7 lots of 10, is 70. And therefore 70 divided by 10, or shared between 10, will equal your 7. So 70 was your missing number. Okay, let's have a look then and move on to day 6. Move that screen across. Excuse me. Okay, so we're back at the zoo this time with some bigger numbers as we've moved on to those trickier blue questions. So the table shows the ages of people in a theme park. Oh, we're a theme park, not a zoo. Okay, so under 18s and the number of people, there are 126 people under the age of 18 inside the theme park. 18 to 60 is 195, and over 60 is 38. Then on the chalkboard, you can see that there are the entry costs. So it's £5 for an under 18, £10 for 18 to 60, and £7 for over 60s. So how much money did the theme park make from the entry costs? So we need to think, well, how many lots of each ticket price did they take? If you are under 18 and you go to this theme park, you pay £5. How many under 18s are in the theme park? That's right. So there are 126 people who are under 18 in that theme park. So all of them must have paid £5 to enter. So 126 people paid £5. Or the theme park has 126 lots of £5. And we know that lots means we do a multiplication sum. Okay, 126 times 5. It sounds like that might be quite a scary number sentence. But there are a few ways we could have a go at this. We could use our written short multiplication, and we could write it out like this. We've done a few of these in the last 5 videos. If we're finding this a bit tricky, another method that I know that sometimes we use is using our grid method. So that means we partition our 126 into its units, its tens, and its hundreds. Let's have a go at that together today on the whiteboard, see if that helps. So I'm going to pop out my 100, then my 20, and then my 6. And I'm going to pop these in a grid times by 5. Okay. So now my grid looks like this: 100, 20, and 6. So together they make up my original number, but actually doing 5 times 100 sounds a lot easier than 5 times 126. So 5 times 100, or 5 lots of 100, is 500. 5 lots of 20, or 5 lots of 2 is 10. And then because it's 20, I need to move it up the place value to get 100. And 5 lots of 6 is 30. Remember, if you're finding some times tables difficult, 5 lots of 6 is the same as 6 lots of 5. And I know you're all confident with your 5s. So now I have 500, 100, and 30. What do I need to do with these 3 numbers to make sure it is 126 times 5? That's it. I need to add all of these answers up. So 500 plus 100 is 600, plus your 30, 630. Okay, and I'm going to remember to put that pound symbol in there. So 126 times 5 is 630 pounds. Okay, so then we need to have a look and think, well, 18 to 60, it costs £10. And there are 195 people in the theme park who have paid £10 a ticket. So let's think we need the same number sentence, same calculation as before, that it is 195 lots of. So we're going to do a multiplication. 195 lots of 10. And remember that idea that we can do multiplication in any order. So 195 lots of 10 might sound tricky, but 10 lots of 195, we all know that when you times by 10, you're moving or shifting everything up the place value. So we now need to put that 0 into the units column. So 195 becomes 1,950 when I pop my 0 in the units column. Well, that was a nice and easy one. Okay, and lastly, over 60s. So there are 38 people who are over 60 in the theme park. They have all paid £7 to get in. So again, we need 38 lots of £7. Okay, how are we going to go about tackling this one? We could partition it again. We could do 7 lots of 30. Well, 7 lots of 3 is 21. So 7 lots of 30, because it is 10 times bigger, is 210. And then we have 7 lots of 8. Or that's one of the ones that people think is a famously tricky times table. And so it's one I always remember. So 7 times 8 is 56. So 210 and 56 is going to be £266. Okay, so I know how much was taken from under 18s, how much was taken from 18 to 60-year-olds, and how much was taken from over 60s. So if I want to know how much money the theme park made from all of its entry costs, what do I need to do with these 3 figures? That's right, this time I need to add them in my number sentence so that I can total the 3 amounts all together. So I'm going to rewrite this because at the moment they are not lined up in their place value columns properly. I've got units over here and units over here, thousands in line with tens, So I need to write it in a nice column addition. So I'm going to put my biggest number on top to help me line them all up correctly. 1,950. And then I'm going to put my other two numbers underneath, making sure that I line up my units, tens and hundreds properly, because this number has 4 digits, but these only have 3, so they have to be in the hundreds column. And as ever with column addition, we're going to start over here. So 0 plus 0 plus 6 is 6. Then we have 5 plus 3 plus 6. Well, I'm going to do this by 5 plus 3 is 8, and 8 plus 6 is 14. So our 4 goes underneath, and our 1 moves to the next place value. Then I have 9 plus 6 plus 2 plus 1. Well, I know my number bonds, 9 and 1 make 10, with 6 and 2, which is 8, so 18. So 8 goes under and 1 goes across. Now I have 1 plus 1, which is 2. So the theme park took 2,846. Oh, I better put the sign in so we know what it was. They took £2,846 in entry cost. Well done. There were quite a few steps to that, having to do each multiplication separately and then totaling them all together. Well done. Okay, let's have a look at blue question 2. So we're back to our missing numbers using shapes here. But there's quite a few shapes in this one. So in the first example, we have the number sentence blue triangle plus blue triangle plus star. Oh dear, they're testing my drawing skills if they want me to draw a star, aren't they? Plus another star equals 100. So blue triangle plus star equals 100. Feel free to laugh at my wonky stars. Okay. Number sentence number 2 says red heart plus 1 blue triangle plus 1 star equals 78. Okay, so this one looks like it might be quite tricky at first because there's so much we don't know. But let's think about what we do know about our numbers. Well, focusing on number sentence number 1, we know we've got 2 of the stars, so they're going to be the same number, and 2 of the triangles, so they're going to be the same number. That add up to make 100. So we could think about numbers we know that go together to make 100. But what's important is that those numbers must be even, so we can then split them into 2. So I could think about my number bonds to 10, and I know 6 and 4 make 10, so 60 and 40 make 100. Can I split 60 into 2 equal parts? Yes, because it ends in a 0, it's an even number. Same goes for 40. Okay, just before we do that, let's pay attention to what we need to know for sentence number 2. So here we've got 2 red hearts, 1 triangle and 1 star equals 78. Well, the same again here, that whatever we're left with for the 2 red hearts has to be an even number, so it can be split equally between those 2 hearts. So what we figure out over here, this plus this, just 1 triangle plus 1 star, needs to make sure we leave ourselves with an even number over here. Have a think about what rules you know with odds and evens and adding and take away to see what helps. Let's try using trial and improvement to use that original method, shall we, of my number bonds of 60 and 40. Okay, so if I say that the triangles are going to be my 60, how much is 1 triangle going to be? So 60 split into 2 is 30. So I'm going to write 30 over all of my blue triangles. Okay, so 30 plus 30 makes my 60, and we know that we said that leaves us with 40. So what is 40 split in 2 to give me 1 star? Well, 40 split in 2 or split in half is 20. So I'm going to write 20 over all my stars. So now I can check my top number sentence. 30 add 30 is 60, add 20 is 80, add 20 equals 100. So my top number sentence works. So let's come down here to this one. 20 plus 30 equals 50. So then what would these have to equal? So 78 is our whole, 50 is a part so far. So what's left for these? I'm going to do a subtraction to make sure I get it right. I'm going to do 78 take away 50. And I'm going to realise that that leaves me with 28. Is 28 an even number? Does 28 allow me to split it in 2 for 1/2? Yes, it does. 28 in half is 14. So the value of 1 red heart is 14. Okay, I wonder if that was the only solution. I wonder if there's any other ways I could have got to that answer, or if there's another answer for the red heart. Well, let me think about going back to my original number bonds for 100. I tried 60 and 40. So what happens if I try 70 and 30? Those are both even numbers that I can split in half. But if I split 70 and 30, I'm going to end up with 35 being half of 70. So my blue triangles would become 35. And then my green stars, half of 30, is 15. So I'm going to end up with 2 15s. So 35 and 35 and 15 and 15. Okay, so if I then put those new numbers down here, we had 30 and 20. Now we've got 35 and 15. Oh, look, this has got 5 bigger and this has got 5 smaller. They still add up to 50, leaving me with the same gap as before. So there's another option for those, but the red heart will still be the same. See if you can find any other options of those where you still end up with the same red heart. Okay, and then lastly for today, question number 3. Missing numbers using our multiplying and dividing by 10, but this time we're looking at decimals. So I'm just going to label my whiteboard again using my place value. And I'm going to put my decimal point in this time so that we can see where it goes after the decimal. So of our hundreds, tens, units, decimal point, tenths and hundredths. Okay, so we have been given the number 42. So I'm going to pop that onto my place value grid. Now I could, if I really wanted, pop my decimal point after it, but it would be 42.00000, which we know is the same as 42. Okay, now we know that something times by 10 will give us this number. And remember, if we're looking for that missing number in our fact family, we need to do the inverse calculation. So we are going to do 42 divided by 10 to give us our missing number. Now, when we are dividing and multiplying by 10, I talk about moving up and down the place value. So what we're doing is we are moving our decimal point when we multiply and divide by 10, okay? Have a look at this and think about which way your decimal point is going to move when you divide by 10. Remember, if you are dividing, your number is getting smaller. So let's have a think about 42. Well, we're dividing by 10, so our number is getting smaller. So our decimal point is going to come this way and give us a new number. So I'm going to write it out in its correct place value columns. So we have the new number 4.2 because our decimal point moved. And it only moved one column because we're timesing by 10. If we're timesing by 100, we're going, or dividing by 10. If we're dividing by 100, we would move 2 jumps. If we're dividing by 1,000, we would move 3 jumps, okay? So your first missing number is 4.2. 4.2 times 10 is 42. So now we've got to think about our next calculation. We're back to that number 42. But this time something, our whole divided by 10 is 42. So this is just one of the parts. So if we do the inverse this time, instead of dividing by 10, we are going to times by 10. So think about the fact our number is going to get bigger. So last time we moved our decimal point this way. Think about what we're going to do if we're doing the inverse or the opposite calculation. We are going to move it the other way. So the decimal point will become after the 0. So let me write that out again so that the decimal point is after our 0. And our new number, as you can see, everything has shifted up the place value columns. And as we recognise from timesing by 10, we've had to pop a 0 in the units column. So 420 divided by 10 is 42. Those place value questions are really good ones to practice to make it clear in your head which way you are moving. So that is it for day 6. Those are all of the blue and orange questions done. Hope you are pausing and having a go, and particularly on blue question 2. See how many combinations of blue triangles and stars you could get to make your answer work. Thanks very much, everyone, and I'll see you with day 7 soon. Bye-bye.